Hi, I'm Geoff Giles with Instant Win Innovations and Impact Innovations, and we're here to do an instruction video for assembling the talking can and shivering talking can components. Here are the components for assembly. You need ends without sealant. This is an end with sealant, and this is an end without sealant, because with the sealant and the flange from the unit, it's too thick to get a good seam. You're also going to need a can, which the client provides. You'll need a full can of the product so you can weigh it and get an accurate weight. And you'll need some type of beaker or measuring device so that you can have an even pour every single time. And then you need a source of ice cold carbonated water. The reason the ice cold is so that it retards the gas and doesn't allow it to gas out as quickly as if it was just regular room temperature. So the first thing you need to do is get an accurate weight of the beverage that you're going to be producing. So this can weighs 372 grams. Then you want to zero it out and put the components on, and then pour in enough to get to 372. I think there's a 5-gram standard of deviation. There we go. The next thing you want to do is pour this into a beaker and then mark the beaker so that your assembly people can, with a Sharpie or something like that, so your assembly people can just get a standard fill every single time. One of the key ingredients to doing this is, or piece of advice, is to just fill one can at a time with the carbonated water, because if you start overfilling and having them stack up, they're going to gas out. So it's pretty much a one-piece flow. You're going to have your beverage. You then are going to orient your unit into the talking device into the can. This is the light sensor. It's got a little squiggly line in there, and you can see it's the light sensor. The opening of the can has to be oriented over the light sensor. And typically, since these tabs sweep back to the right, you're going to want to position this just a little bit to the right so that the sunlight is going to get in there. With the end oriented over the light sensor, you're going to place it on the base plate. This is to get a snug fit, and this tab or the lever should come down and stop, and then you easily push it in order to finally see it, make the seal. Look for is that the flange goes to the end of the can flange as well. You don't want it to be pushed in and see gaps like that. You want it to be nice and even. Sometimes the carbonation will push the unit up, so you want to do it fairly quickly. I positioned it over the light sensor. I'm pushing it down. It's stopped. Now I can turn on the machine now, and this will engage it. And voila! What you're going to be looking for when you're doing a seaming is that there's no wrinkling or any kind of deformity in the can. You want a nice, clean seam like that. And you're good to go. Now, typically we will test them along the way during the production run. Part of the test would be to turn it upside down. If you don't have a good seal, then bubbling will start. You'll be able to start seeing some of the carbonated water coming out of the edge here. You'll also be able to feel it if it's lost its carbonation and pressure. and then some people like to soak them in hot water to test as far as heat goes. That's all depends on your QC. You also want to test the weight again, and there you go, 374. You're within the standard range of deviation. Then also you're going to want to open them occasionally, open a couple, just to make sure that your assembly people are doing the orientation right and that everything is working. We do send extra cups with each shipment so that once you've opened it, you can then cut it open using a pair of tin snips and some rubber gloves. And test to make sure that it's a tight fit. Then you can then cut the can off, pull the end off, and you can still save the plastic audio device and put it in another unit. These are the tools for doing your adjustments. One of the things that you need to do on a maintenance basis, usually every day, is squirt oil in vegetable grade oil in where these yellow dots are on the machine. You then you need the tin snips for testing. You're going to need this is to take the chuck out in case you have to take the chuck off. There are 2 steps to seaming. Step 1 is on the left. Step 2 is on the right. There are rollers and they work in concert with the chuck to do the seaming. So the step 1 folds it over, and step 2 presses it together and makes it a nice tight fit. If you need to do adjusting, and this is all this troubleshooting is in the manual that comes with the machine. Step 1 is got a thicker wire gauge, and this you're going to need to you'll be able to see the picture in the manual where you're going to be running it in here. There's usually 3 things that can affect a good seam. If you're getting wrinkles underneath the end, or if there's a waviness and so forth. Typically, you'll want to test if you're getting a good grip and enough pressure up from the base plate. The base plate can be adjusted by using a thin screwdriver and going in and opening the thread and then turning this pin ever so slightly. A quarter turn could be just all you need. And then you lock it back in by using the screwdriver again. And then you test it. Again, it's going to want to stop midway, and then you easily push in without buckling the can. Step 1, if you need to make an adjustment, if the directions tell you to make an adjustment on step 1 or step 2, it's a little involved, but it's pretty simple. What you do is, since I'm going to run it and show you the cycle, how they go in and out, and then what will happen is that you're going to want to adjust step 1, and we'll set the machine so that you can adjust step 1, and then we'll reset the machine so you can adjust step 2. So here's a whole cycle, 1, 2, like that. That's it. In order to adjust step 1, you're gonna push this release in here 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn the machine off. Release it, and then turn the shaft a half a turn. This was a little tight. So that this ridge is basically on the other side of the thing. What's going to happen then is you're going to, if you look down here, you're going to see that the it's all the way in as far as it's going to go. What you want is a little bit of friction between the roller 1 and the chuck. And if you have to adjust it, then you take this guy here and you take an Allen set, you release an Allen key. This all comes with the machine too, by the way. And you release it and then turn it. Now that's a little tight, so I'm going to back it off a little bit. And as you can see, it's very, very temperamental. And so just a little quarter turn can usually do everything you need. All right. And the same thing happens with step 2. So you're going to finish the cycle. And now you're going to press the release again 9 times. And step 2 should be all the way in. And you take your thinner gauge wire and you're going to test it in this ridge of the roller, in between that and the chuck. Now this is kind of tight, so we need to back it off a little bit. And you just do as we just did before. You get your Allen key, your Allen wrench, and you back it out a little bit. Just a little, using your wire. There. There's friction, and it's a nice fit. Then we tighten this back up. And you're good to go. Again, there's troubleshooting in the manual, and it addresses every type of thing that can happen, and fixing it and adjusting it is that simple. It's going to be one of these 3 things. If there's more of an electrical problem, that the switch might be bent out and you just have to bend it back in, I'm always available. You can call me anytime if we need to have a Skype or Zoom or FaceTime. Good luck with this. It's very simple. You can do about 1,000 cans a day with 4 people in a single 7-hour shift once they get good and proficient. But always test, and make sure that you're isolating each test batch, so that you can, if there is an issue, then you only have to go back that many, as opposed to going through the whole thing. And that's it. Good luck.